Have you ever wondered why failure feels so devastating, yet it can be the most influential element in personal growth? When we hear the word failure, we're often quick to associate it with defeat, with losing, with an end. But what if we've been understanding it all wrong? What if instead of being the end of the road, failure is the very path that leads us to success? Let's take a step back and consider the concept of failure. It's a term that carries a lot of weight, a lot of negativity. It's something we're taught to avoid at all costs. But what if, instead of shying away from failure, we embraced it? What if we perceived it not as a setback, but as a stepping stone to success? Consider the story of Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in history. You're probably familiar with his greatest invention, the light bulb. But did you know that it took him over 1,000 attempts to create a functional prototype? Each attempt, each failure, brought him closer to his ultimate success. He once said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison viewed each failure not as a defeat, but as an opportunity to learn and adapt. Every unsuccessful attempt was a lesson, a guide to what needed to be changed or improved. And with each change, with each improvement, he moved one step closer to success. So why do we fear failure so much? Perhaps it's because we've been taught to see it as a negative thing. But if we shift our perspective, if we see failure as a teacher rather than a foe, we can unlock a world of potential. We can learn from our mistakes, adapt our strategies, and move closer to our goals. Failure is not the end. It's the beginning of a journey of discovery, of learning, of growth. It's the key that can unlock your true potential. So if failure can pave the way to invention and success, why is it feared so much? If failure is inevitable in life, isn't it better to embrace it rather than fear it? Let's think about that for a moment. Many of us have been conditioned to view failure as something to be avoided at all costs. But what if I told you that this mindset is holding you back from reaching your full potential? Consider this. As a young boy, I was always fascinated by puzzles. I remember spending countless hours trying to solve them, only to end up frustrated and disappointed. But rather than give up, I started to see each failed attempt as an opportunity to learn and improve. I began to embrace my failures, and with each setback, I found myself getting closer and closer to the solution. This shift in perspective was a game changer. It allowed me to see failure not as an embarrassing defeat, but as a stepping stone to success. And that's where the concept of the growth mindset comes into play. This term, coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, refers to the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and most importantly, learning from our failures. It's about recognizing that setbacks are not a reflection of our worth, but rather vital parts of our journey to growth and improvement. Imagine how different our lives would be if we stopped fearing failure and started seeing it as a teacher. Each mistake, each setback, each failure would no longer be something to dread, but an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. This shift in perspective can open doors to possibilities we never even imagined. So let's start changing our mindset about failure. Let's start embracing it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone to our success. Because the truth is, failure isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's a natural part of life, and when we learn to embrace it, it becomes a powerful tool for personal growth and development. The next time you face failure, remember it is not a dead end, but a stepping stone to learning and growth. But how exactly can one learn from failure? Is there an art to it? Well, there indeed is, and it's an art that anyone can master. The first step is to analyze your failures. This isn't about wallowing in self-pity or dwelling on what went wrong. It's about taking a step back, looking at the situation objectively, and identifying where things didn't go as planned. Just imagine yourself as a detective, sifting through the evidence of your own experiences. The clues are there, hidden in the details of your actions, decisions, and outcomes. It's your job to piece them together, to make sense of what happened, and to draw lessons from them. Now let's take a look at a real-life example. Consider the story of a successful entrepreneur. Their journey wasn't always smooth sailing. In fact, they had to adapt their business plan multiple times before they found the success they were seeking. They didn't see these adaptations as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow. The second step is reflection. This is where you take the lessons you've learned from analyzing your failures and apply them to your future endeavors. It's about asking yourself, what can I do differently next time? It's about turning your failures into stepping stones towards your success. The third, and arguably most crucial step, is resilience. This is the ability to bounce back from failures, to get back up when you've been knocked down. It's about embracing the fact that failure is just a part of the journey towards success. It's about understanding that every setback is a setup for a comeback. So, learning from failure is indeed an art that involves analysing, reflecting, and being resilient. It's an art that can lead you to success no matter how many times you've failed before. It's an art that teaches you that failure isn't the opposite of success, but a part of it. As the saying goes, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So how can you use failure to unlock your true potential? Think of it this way. Each setback is an opportunity to reroute your journey. It's like a detour sign on the road, guiding you towards a new path, maybe even a better one. You see, failure isn't a signal to stop. It's just a sign to take a different route. Let's consider the story of a woman named Sarah. She had been working in a corporate job for over 20 years, and on paper she was successful. But she found herself feeling unfulfilled and restless. One day, her world crumbled when she was laid off. From an outsider's perspective, it seemed like a colossal failure. But instead of wallowing in despair, Sarah saw this as an opportunity to explore her passions. She had always loved painting, but never considered it a viable career. Now, with the security of her corporate job gone, she had the freedom to dive into her passion. She started selling her art online, and to her surprise, it took off. Today, she's happier and more fulfilled than she ever was in her corporate job. She failed in one career, only to discover that she was more passionate and talented in a different field. Sarah's story is a clear testament that sometimes it's our failures that lead us to our true passions. They force us to step out of our comfort zones, to try new things, to discover hidden talents, and ultimately, to unlock our true potential. What's important is not the failure itself, but what you do after. Do you choose to stay down, or do you choose to dust yourself off and rise again? It's all about perspective. So, the next time you face a setback, remember Sarah. Remember that failure is not a dead end, but a stepping stone to something greater. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it guide you towards your true potential. Remember, every failure is a step closer to success. It's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up.